All we could afford at home was a little one-bar electric fire, which stood in the corner of my bedroom so that I could get up there and slog away at my homework and pass my scholarship. In those days, you had to help yourself, or no one else was going to help you. We remember the winter of discontent, don't we? Where you couldn't get your operation done because the hospital porters were on strike. And if that killed you, you couldn't even get buried because the grave diggers were on strike for more pay and shorter working hours. That was socialist England. Ben Leverett's England. The England of our discontent. Your jobs. Yes, you're worried about your jobs. Of course you are. The Labour government giving you 1.25 million unemployed. Thank God Simcox Ales hasn't been nationalised. Yes, it hasn't been taken over by bureaucrats. This is just the sort of small business we want to see prosper. Everyone's job at Simcox's will be safe when we win the election.
Rough shooting's a bit better since Tom Knight left us. Never saw a hare when old Tom was alive. Fella had a talent for luring away my pheasants.
He had his own ways, did old Tom Knight.
Of course, my wife didn't care for him. Wanted me to prosecute, if I remember correctly.
Tom Knight was a red rag, your ladyship.
For goodness sake, I said, we've got enough rabbits to go round. Well, she said, I'm not sharing my dinner with Knight. Do you recall the occasion she summoned in the local constabulary? In my view, Wybrow, if you've got a decent bit of rough shooting, you're under a duty to have your game pinched occasionally. Oh, good shot, Wybrow. Been getting in a bit of practice lately. Oh, sure. Oh, well, can't win them all.
Sir Nicholas. Sir Nicholas. The rector.
Oh. Haven't come to administer the last rites, have you? It's only a cold, you know. But if you come to hear my confession, I must say you're in for a damn dull evening. It's a terrible thing, you know, Simeon, to look back over a long life and have no sins worth confessing. It's a depressing experience. Not that I've had much opportunity for sinning. Married Grace when I was a young man, and before that I was living with Mother. Of course, I might have had a sin or two, and I parted from Grace during the war. But I never took the opportunity. More fool I suppose some people would say.
Sure they wouldn't say that. Not at all.
I might have done a bit of sinning when I was stationed at Bognor. It's not so far away, really, but I didn't take the trouble to come home. Grace was always dashing up to London for evenings out. She enjoyed the air raids, you know.
Yes. She told me that.
So I used to go for walks along the seafront, over the downs. I stayed away. Not that I stayed away with anyone, you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You never liked Grace, did you?
Do you want me to tell you the truth?
Isn't that what we're here for? A truth-telling visit?
No, I never liked her. I think I disapprove of everything about her.
Spoiled? Overprivileged, selfish, and intolerant?
Yes.
That's what I thought you'd say. But there's something I shall always remember about Grace. She married me, you see. She was so beautiful, and I've always been rather dull. Do you do much of this kind of thing nowadays?
What?
Confessions.
Nowadays, hardly at all.
People don't believe in it. Well, I'm not sure I do.
Good heavens. It's hardly worth remembering all those things that never happened so long ago.
They asked me how I knew my true love was true. I, of course, replied, something here inside cannot be denied. They said someday you'll find all who love are blind. When your heart's on fire, you must realize smoke gets in your eyes. So I chaffed them and I gaily laughed to think they could doubt my love. Yet today my love has flown away. I am without my love. Now laughing friends deride tears I cannot hide.
Come, let me clutch thee.
He's never got the bread knife.
Shh, doesn't matter.
I'm going up to kill the king. I'm going to creep up.
Macbeth?
And stab the old king while he's lying in bed, because my wife has made him drunk. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it's a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell.
He hasn't got it all quite right, I'm afraid.
Elsie?
Rector.
We did it when I was a boy. I played the lady.
And now Nicky's doing it at his day school. He saw it in Stratford, and then they've been doing scenes. Such a good school. I don't know why Leslie wants to move him.
It's bloodthirsty. I'm not sure they ought to teach children things like that.
Shh, he's coming back.
I've done it now. I've stabbed the king. Ring the bell. Pretend it was the servants.
Oh, that's not fair.
Shh, it's what Thanes do.
Look at his hands. They're covered.
Is that the end?
No, not quite. There's still a lot more. But we haven't done it all yet. I saw you come in.
It was very good, darling. Tremendously good.
Very bloodthirsty. And now I think it's time we had our tea. Well, you'll have to wash that red paint off your hands before you have your sandwiches, Nicky. Come on now.
Macbeth. He shows a talent for it.
Leslie wants to send him away.
I've been to see your father.
Shooting with Wybrow in the rain. I do call that living dangerously.
He sent for me. It seems he wanted to make a confession.
He's not seriously ill.
Fred hasn't said so.
Poor father. He finds it hard to do anything seriously.
Yes. Now, that's what I wanted to say, is he has absolutely nothing to tell you.
To tell me?
Has he tried to say anything to you?
No. No, nothing serious.
Ah, well, that's the point, isn't it? If he does send for you to tell you something, it won't be anything serious. Nothing that you need concern yourself with, anyway.
I'll try to remember. Why does Leslie want to send Nicky away from me?
It's something we've all done.
Doesn't he understand? Oh, my God, who else is there for me to talk to?
Charlotte? Rector? Tea's ready.
Poor old Nicholas. At the end, he seemed to let go of life. Not that he ever had hold of it all that firmly.
Not like you. You're still remarkably tenacious.
Your predecessor, Dr. Salter, used to tease me about that. He said that Christians ought to give death a warmer welcome. Well, Salter was an unbeliever, but he went first.
So he did.
And he was so strong. Of course, I've always known that you were the strong one of our family.
Am I?
Henry's not so strong as you. But he can look after himself, don't you think?
Does he need to? Now he's got Lonnie to look after him?
Ah, Lorna. Your mother doesn't hit it off with Lorna at all. There is something rather unsettling about her, though. About Lorna. I mean, not about your mother.
What's that?
It would appear that Lorna is deeply religious.
Oh, dear.
Of course, Henry comes to church whenever they're down here for the weekend. He's become such an old English country gent. It makes me feel quite young sometimes. You don't go to church, do you?
Not at all, no.
Can't say I blame you. But I look across at Lorna during prayers. Most people adopt the usual C of E crouch, you know. Bottoms on the edge of the pew, head stuck forward, you know the procedure. But not Lorna. Oh, she's down on her knees, head between her hands, eyes tight shut, lips moving. Sometimes I want to go over to her and say, for heaven's sake, dear girl, give it a rest. Don't try so hard. I don't think God likes being pestered, do you?
I suppose not.
Well, so you do admit the existence of a God who doesn't like being pestered?
I didn't say that.
Didn't you? But you're all right, Fred. You'll always be all right. Are you happy?
Not particularly.
No, of course not. Foolish question. You know, we all think. I certainly thought that our lives are so very different from our parents. We think differently, we feel different, all that sort of thing. It's not true. We all find out the same things. And when we find them out, it's time to go.
Not for a long while yet.
Oh, you think I'm going to make some great new discovery?
Hello.
Hello.
When did all this happen?
Oh, you've been away, Doctor.
Well, only for a holiday. Where's Terry?
Well, Terry Fawcett's left us. We're just a self-service petrol now.
See.
Do you want your greenies?
My what?
Your little green men, haven't you heard about them? If you collect 500, you get a set of garden tools free.
Oh.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Marmaduke's bloody garage. Not really.
Where are we going to go for sessions?
Don't do that now, do we?
But we must do. We really must.
God knows. I can spare the time.
Why? What are you doing now?
Collecting the dole money. That's what I'm doing now. Saving up for when the redundancy's gone.
How much did they give you?
$2 grand.
Oh, for God's sake, Terry, you're a mechanic.
That's something they don't seem to need in Worsfield. Oh, I've tried, Fred. Haven't I tried?
I tell him he ought to try window cleaning.
Glenys is back typing for your father. I do the shopping, collect the kid from school. I told her I'd make a lovely wife. You seen what Tina and Gary got round theirs? All from window cleaning. Now, who wants tropical fish anyway?
No, a bit sharp. Yes. Oh, lovely. Put in here. Just the one.
I admire what they've done to Marmaduke's. They've slimmed down the operation, they've moved with the times.
Can't you do anything about his redundancy money?
Marmaduke's was overmanned. Like the whole of England sinking under the weight of unnecessary wage packets.
Terry can't find anyone who needs a mechanic. No one in Worsfield.
He can come and see me.
Good. What will you tell him?
That he'll have to rethink his career. We all had to.
You mean you've had to make a painful adjustment to life in Picton House?
Well done.
I say, can I muck in with the sandwiches? It's like film catering, isn't it? It's like the teas we have on film location. You know, piles of butties. You type for the Register, don't you?
Sometimes.
I've seen you at the rectory. You're not from the village, are you? Don't you live over in Worsfield?
We do now.
Of course, I'm sure Worsfield's very nice, but it is rather towny, isn't it? We feel so much part of Rapston. Well, of course, Henry's lived here all his life. That's why he adores coming back. For the cricket. This is where he has his roots. Oh, by the way, I'm Lonnie Simcox.
Oh, yes. I know. The second wife.
Hey!
One more ball.
Having a good day out, are you?
Yes, of course.
Call back. Anytime you want a Carlsberg out the freezer bag.
Come on!
Charlotte? We're over here.
Hello, Mum.
There's a chair here.
Thanks.
That was a good one, Nicky.
Yes.
Not a great one for cricket, is he, Nicky?
Not a great one, no.
Likes reading, doesn't he?
Yes.
He'll get used to cricket when he goes away.
He's not going away.
But Leslie's decided.
Leslie? He never went away to school. You kept him at home. Wouldn't you tell him, please? Perhaps he'd listen to you.
Tell him what?
I'm not having Nicky beaten and buggered and brought up by a lot of bloody public school snobs.
Leslie only wants your son to have all the advantages.
Please. Please tell him. Perhaps he'd listen to you.
Afternoon, Squire. Give the Squire a bit of centre there. Jolly decent of you to come and play with the peasants. If I didn't have my gloves on, I'd tug my forelock. Thought all you did on the cricket field, Titmus, was give away pavilions.
Get under it! And again, one. No, just the one.
You hated them once, didn't you? You really hated them. When they threw you in the river. That was when I thought I could love you. When you hated them. You were a person, I thought. A real, living, fighting, kicking human person. You weren't, of course. It was just the hate I fell in love with. And now you've stopped hating. Now you feel so safe and smug and sure of yourself. What are you now? Nothing.
Only a member of the government. Only in the cabinet.
Exactly what I said. Nothing.
Charlotte, do try not to shout. They'll hear.
Who'll hear? The servants? My God. Let them hear. If it interests them in the least. Let them hear it. Listen Listen to this, Janet Nout. Listen, cook. The Right Honourable Leslie Titmus is nothing.
Pity the gardener's gone home. He might have been interested too.
For God's sake. Honestly tried to make you happy.
Happy? Does that include separating me from my child?
You're being ridiculous. It happens to everybody.
Everybody? Who's everybody? Magnus Strove and that horrible Christopher Kempenflatt and all those braying imbeciles who threw bread rolls at you and laughed at your dinner jacket. Have you forgotten? Have you honestly quite forgotten?
It's a long time ago.
And now you want Nicky to join them?
Your father went away to school.
My father? Poor man.
And his main problem in life was being married to your mother. I must say, you get more and more like her every day.
Don't say that! Don't ever say that!
Now, I suppose you're going to scream.
No, I'm not going to scream. I'm going to leave you, Leslie. I'm going to live in London. We'll find a flat or somewhere.
We?
Nicky and I. He can go to a day school on the state, the way you did. He'll be like you, a mother's boy, if you like. But I'm not staying here living with no one. Living with a nothing who can't even hate anymore.
We've got a breakfast meeting with the Americans. Be a good idea if we both went to bed.
Well done, Mum. Oh, I missed.
Madam. Mrs. Titmus?
Yes.
Ted Rattling. I'm by way of being your husband's lawyer.
Oh, yes?
He thought it might be best if we had a word.
Half a moment. You play, Nicky.
Where are you going, Mum?
Won't be a moment. I don't need a lawyer.
Oh, just a quiet word before anyone jumps in at the deep end and starts proceedings.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Have you not? Well, it seems that in conversation with Mr. Titmus, you suggested a separation.
I'm going to London. I'm taking my son with me. Is my husband objecting to that?
Of course, you're at liberty to do exactly as you choose, but if you take that course, I have instructions to start immediate proceedings for divorce.
Well, you can start them then straight away.
And an immediate claim for custody of the child of the marriage. Nicholas George, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
Well, no doubt you'll take independent advice, and I'm sure you'll be told that in the normal course of events, custody would be awarded to the mother. However, it seems that you, Mrs. Titmus, were a student and later were active in the social services.
Is that some sort of crime?
And not in itself, no. What your husband will allege is intimacy, on quite a sizable scale, I gather, with those who happen to be in need of social and welfare services. Mr. Titmus, in his instructions, used the expression rough trade. I'm afraid it may be a disagreeable case, particularly as the boy is just about to start at his big school.
There isn't going to be a case.
You'll be all right, darling, now, won't you? You'll look after yourself, won't you? Look at your... No, goodbye, darling. Be careful. Look after yourself.
He'll be all right.
Will he?
Of course. I think I've got got to leave you, I'm afraid. As a matter of fact, I was playing truant to get away to the station. I suppose you'll go back to Picton.
Yes. I suppose I shall.
Coffee in the drawing room, Mrs. Titmuss?
No coffee, thank you, Janet. I'm going out. Large whiskey, Ted. And a packet of fags, anything.
Never took me up on that cold lager, did you?
No, I never did. But buy you a drink.
A large rum and black, please, Ted. And the ladies pay.
Mother, all this business about Father's will,
Your father?
about his will.
Oh, for heaven's sake, doesn't anyone remember anything about Simeon except his wretched will? Ugh. File letters are so expensive nowadays.
I know what you want is to stop the case coming to court.
Takes no time to get a bag of kindling.
I can stop it. I think I can stop it if I can tell Henry the truth. You must tell me.
Besides, it's such a treat to come to Rapston Woods. Better than a trip round the supermarket.
Tell me what you know about Leslie Titmuss.
Weren't you on your way to somebody ill? Don't let my kindling wood delay you.
I mean, who is Leslie Titmuss?
What, isn't he the minister of something or other? I thought everybody knew that.
Is he related to us? It would make Father's will understandable at least.
Related?
Yes. Is he?
Perhaps.
Then the will isn't mad. It could at least be explained.
Perhaps. In the Middle Ages, some old lady Simcox and a medieval Titmuss. What a killing idea. I can't really imagine a medieval Titmuss, can you? A Titmuss in shining armor.
You know, if we can't explain it, they're going to say our father was a lunatic.
It won't be the first time.
No?
He thought everything was going to change, you know. He thought people were going to give up wars and share out their money. All sorts of dotty things. When he was a young curate in Worsfield, the bishop called him a lunatic, I think. Simeon got his revenge, of course. Never stopped writing the bishop letters.
Mother, about Leslie Titmuss.
There. That's enough, I think. As you're here, Fred, would you be good enough to put it into the motor car?
Never a day's illness. It's just his memory that's left him. I don't think he knows who I am some days. Or Leslie. He forgets they retired him. Some days he worries about getting down to the brewery. Thinks the accounts department can't get on without him. Is there going to be a court case between you and Leslie?
Between my brother and Leslie, I don't want any court case. I just want to explain. Look, you knew my father when you were young.
Of course. Everyone knew the rector.
You probably got on well with him.
George had a quarrel with him once. It was about an ornament. Leslie gave one of our ornaments to the rector, and George was quite angry about it. He thought the rector shouldn't have held on to it, you see.
Was that the only time George was angry with my father?
I shouldn't be talking to you.
Shouldn't you?
Not with the court case coming up. You shouldn't be asking me questions. Anyway, if Leslie's had a bit of good luck over the will, he deserves it, doesn't he?
Does he?
After all he's been through. After all she's put him through, more like.
And those ghastly women in their bobble hats and their smelly anoraks camped out round Worsfield Heath, deserting their husbands, talking about peace as if they'd invented it yesterday. Peace? I'd like to see them try doing it in Russia.
Doing what?
Camped out in those hideous bobble hats. I really don't know what they're thinking of.
Perhaps they're thinking about Nicky.
Oh, my God, Charlie, you're not CND, are you?
I'm not anything.
Well, you're not for disarmament. Is your lady one of those disarmers, Leslie?
Of course she is. So am I.
You?
100%. I've a whole lot of sympathy for the women of Worsfield Heath, but I'd go further than that. I want the whole world to disarm at the same time, that's all. Not just us. Not just the Americans. I think you'll find that Charlotte and I are in complete agreement.
Well, I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
So, Charlotte, perhaps it's about time.
About time for what?
Wouldn't you like to take the ladies upstairs?
Upstairs? Whatever for?
People usually do it after dinner.
Do they? I thought people usually had a nice cup of tea and fell asleep in front of the telly.
Well, shall I lead the way?
Lead the way? Where?
Well, upstairs, of course.
Well, if you're all bursting to pee.
You don't want to wear that tonight.
Don't I?
Not tonight, Tina, for God's sake. Not your best stuff for going around the Badger at Scurfield.
You gave it to me.
To wear with your best. To wear when we're going up London. Places like that.
I'll leave it at home then.
That's right, you leave it at home.
You're not having a drink with her tonight then?
What?
You're not having a drink with Mrs. Titmuss?
She's a good sort, she is. Stands her ground, same as anybody.
I don't know why you want to bother with her for.
That's because you don't understand the business. Mrs. Titmuss has decided to become an investor. We're expanding.
How'd you expand in window cleaning?
By becoming fully mechanized. It means we're buying a couple of new vans. Are you ever going to be ready?
Locked box, mother of pearl inlay. Now, I want it back. Is that quite understood?
We'll do our best, your ladyship.
Your best may not be good enough. My son-in-law is in the cabinet, you know. He sees the Prime Minister almost every day. Law and order's very much one of her things, isn't it? I imagine she wouldn't like to be told of police slackness in the Rapston Valley.
Wow, look at that one. Almost continuous. I remember the first jet's over Hamburg.
Goose Green.
Good lads. Boys. Bandits dead ahead, Skipper.
flag was raised in victory.
Oh, yeah?
Cheers from the local people and from soldiers of the 2nd Battalion Parachute Regiment.
Well, what you having?
Large whiskey, please.
Oi, Ted. What do you want? Come on, they're going to capture Goose Green without you.
I know. It's just that it makes me feel young again.
But their triumph was not without cost. In a quiet and simple ceremony, the men who died freeing Goose Green and Darwin were laid to rest on the hillside above St. Carlos Water. Among the fallen,
Shall I
Colonel
turn the
H.
machine
Jones,
off?
who led his men to victory.
If you like.
If I'd known it was going to have that sort of thing on, I'd never have let it in here. Now, what exactly do you do to quieten it?
This is where we came in.
What?
When we used to go to the cinema. Pictures, hearts.
Did we do that?
Of course. When we were walking out. And we were always late.
You were always late.
Yes. And we used to sit and watch it round until we said, this is where we came in. Films went round and round in those days. First attraction, second attraction. Then start all over again.
At least in the last war, we only had the wireless.
Yes, and we'd sit glued to it to hear the latest news of people killing one another. So much enthusiasm, so much hope. Where on earth do you think it all went to?
I was never all that concerned about the New Jerusalem. I suppose I always had far too much to do in the garden.
It's going to go on round and round, like the old Hartscomodia. Is that all that's ever going to happen?
Probably.
What can we do?
Only what we have to. Do what we have to, that's all. And hope for the best.
You don't really like me, do you?
I don't suppose I like you now.
What is it then? You lonely?
That must be it.
Where's your husband?
Up in London, winning the war by long-distance telephone.
He did pretty good then, didn't he?
What?
I said he did pretty good for himself.
I suppose so.
What about your kid?
He's away too.
So you've just got your mum?
My mum? Oh no, I don't have her.
I know a bit about your mum. It might surprise you.
What?
Oh, just things. Things I heard about her, I mean.
Tell me.
It's nothing, really.
Tell me what you say you know. I thought you were in London.
I'm sure you did.
What's happened? No wars this week?
I managed to get away, come down to the country.
Your little place. Your great, huge, drafty, great, empty place.
It's not empty now.
Now you were here. I didn't see that makes much difference.
I had dinner alone.
Why? Wasn't Janet here?
I mean, I sat alone.
Why didn't you sit with Janet?
Where did you have dinner?
Nowhere. I had dinner nowhere.
You do lie awfully badly, Charlotte.
Of course, you're speaking as the expert. Have you ever heard yourself on the telly? The economy's on the upturn. We're creating real jobs. Nobody's hungry in England. Or if they are, they're doing it up north somewhere, nice and far away from Hartscombe.
Your dinner consisted of too many whiskies and a packet of onion-flavoured crisps in some pub or other with a lot of undesirables.
What's wrong with onion-flavoured crisps? I thought you got where you are on onion-flavoured crisps and bottles of sauce and meat teas and money in the Prudential. Aren't you the good old working-class lad with his pint of Simcock's Best and his heartfelt ambition to buy his own council house? That's who you taught me to admire. What did you call them? The backbone of England.
I wasn't talking about a handful of spivs.
lives. Charming old-fashioned word. They wouldn't know what it meant.
They'd know what it is, though. Scrounging on the welfare, everything on the never-never, or dropped off the back of a lorry, more likely. Taking advantage of the rest of us. Taking advantage of you.
You've never been taken advantage of, have you, Leslie? You should try it sometime. It's really quite enjoyable.
You're letting me down, Charlotte.
By going to pubs.
You're letting yourself down, too. And Nicky.
Don't talk to me about Nicky.
I don't expect you to stay here by yourself. I know it's lonely.
Do you?
Of course it is. But couldn't you get some sort of decent interest?
What a good idea. What should it be, I wonder? Winemaking? Basket weaving? Macrame?
Something serious, perhaps. History or politics.
Politics? Is that what you'd really like me to do? You're keeping them on, are you?
Well, they're here, so while they're here, I might as well water them. Thank you, Barbara. Is Leslie with you?
No. Leslie's never with me nowadays. It was different for you, wasn't it? Father always here. Always at Rapstone. You saw him all the time.
Was away during the war.
Yes, in the war. Of course he was.
Doing what he felt to be his duty. Champagne? Right. I imagine that's what Leslie is doing, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Leslie and his friends. They're arranging to put a lot of wonderful new bombs for blowing up the world all over Worsfield Heath. They're meant to make us feel safer.
Leslie understands, Charlie. He has all the information.
It seems that these things have to be exercised. Like dogs, they have to go out on walkies.
Charlie, are you quite well? What have you come here for? You never come here.
I just thought I ought to warn you, Mother, in case you met one. On your way home from bridge at the Hellespont Club, don't try to pat it, that's all.
Oh, do stop talking nonsense, Charlie. Leslie knows these things are necessary for our protection.
Yes, of course. Leslie always knows best. I feel sorry for you, Mother.
Sorry for me? Whatever for?
Having to have a child you couldn't love. Oh, by the way, that burglary you had, did you ever hear anything more about it?
Nothing. I asked your husband. to mention it to the Prime Minister.
Terrible, isn't it? So many crimes go undetected.